Hi everyone, welcome to Lives Worth Telling. I'm your host Jodes, and my podcast is about digging deep into people's stories and providing them with a platform to share their life and their experiences with my listeners. One of the key reasons in creating this podcast is so their families and friends can have a record of their life, their stories, and their voice forever. One of my favourite things is hearing about people's stories, their triumphs, their hardships, but most of all, I love hearing about their resilience. I really hope you enjoy listening to my guests share their lives with you. I want you to have a few laughs and allow yourself to be immersed in their stories. Well, welcome to episode 10 of season 2 of Lives Worth Telling. This is actually part 2 of the story of Jodes. Thank you for all your feedback on part 1. I am very humbled by everyone's beautiful comments. So here is part 2, where we pick up from the question about life's turning points and moments of realisation. There are some events that have definitely affected me in my life, and trying to process these has been very difficult over the years. I hope you are able to gain some insight into the challenges that I've faced. So, settle in for the next instalment of the story of Jodes. Enjoy.
So what about a significant turning point or moment of realisation in your life?
So many, Tim. Yeah. Meeting a few things. A significant turning point, I guess, was when my dad passed away, and him and my stepmom Myrna had just separated maybe 2 years prior, which they'd been married for 25 years, and my dad had an affair with this. So he was 68 and she was 21, and had an affair with this girl, and that was really, really challenging for me. And then they got married, and then he died in a work accident. So it was my last session at work, and I had all these missed calls, everyone except my dad, because I spoke to my dad every day. I spoke every day. And that's how much he loved his grandkids, because it turned from, once the girls were born, he used to ring me, "How you going, mate?" But then it used to turn into, "G'day, mate, how's the tackers?"
Yeah.
What about me?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, it became about, he just loved my girls so much, so much. How's the tackers? Loved everything that they did. He's I miss that he's not here to see them as fully grown adults now. But getting that call, and and prior to that, maybe 10 days before that, Abby had been in hospital for maybe a week and a half for mesenteric adenitis. So she had gastro, and then she had the swelling of the stomach glands, and she was really unwell. And I was with her at Knox Private for a week and a half. And finally, she was well enough to come out, and we came out of hospital. I'm like, oh, now we can enjoy Christmas. Not so fast, Jodie. No, on the 19th of December, your dad's going to have an accident. So, I got I had to go straight to Box Hill Hospital, and he'd fallen unconscious in this house. He was working in a house, and he never woke up. So he was in ICU. But what the worst thing was is the wife, who was 21 then at the time, he was 69. She was the wife. Everything was going through her, and at that time I was still talking to my dad, but he was angry with me. I didn't agree with his new relationship, and he changed his will to leave everything to his new wife. He never woke up. So he'd been unconscious for so long. The only thing that they could get going with his heart. So he was still alive, but he was basically brain dead. So there was no brain activity there at all. Yeah. So they did a few things to reduce brain swelling, so cool his body, and sedation, with the hope that maybe after sedation that he would wake up. Yeah. But he didn't. And then very hard for the girls. So the girls were 5 and 7 at the time, which I felt they were so young to be losing him. How do you cope with that as a child? That was really hard. And then he, around it was, so his accident was the 19th of December. And then on the 24th of December, we took the girls in to say goodbye. So we had a meeting with the doctors and said that his condition hasn't changed, and they were going to extubate the patient and take the tube out and turn everything off. And so we took the girls in to say goodbye. And then the doctor says to us, "Oh, look, Dad's condition hasn't changed. We need to speak to you about something." And I said, "Oh, like what's it about?" And they said, "We actually have been holding the tube in longer because his wife has gone to the Supreme Court to get permission to get sperm out of him."
What?
And I was like, I lost my nana. I went bananas. I was so angry because he was getting infections, like he was getting chest infections and stuff, and they were sort of saying his condition hasn't changed. Why is it still? He would have hated anyone to see him like that, you know. What? So while we were speaking to, I said, surely this is not like really seriously, and come on, like, no. So while we were in the room, he left the room, he'd got a call, he came back and he said, "I've just heard from the courts, they're not even going to hear her case because there's no written permission from your dad." Like I thought, oh, thank goodness. Oh, truly, if the situation couldn't get any worse. I was up to pussy's bow, really.
Yeah.
So, we said goodbye to him on it was like the afternoon of Christmas Eve, and then I was really torn between going and sitting with him. So I removed the tube at 10 o'clock on the night. Do I sit with him and her, or do I come home and be Santa and wrap all the presents and have Christmas
at that
properly
time of
with
year
the girls?
as well?
I was really torn, and I thought I didn't really want to sit there with her. And then, I took the decision to come home and then got the call in the morning. So he died at 3:15 on Christmas morning. And there were some weird things, I guess, for me that maybe a year or so later that I thought there was something strange around we're making a decision to take out the tube, because I thought that was up to the family. And I thought, I wonder if there was anything that she actually kind of did something at the time. So I requested his medical records through Eastern Health, and they actually had to get her permission. Okay. And then I got his medical records. So she actually wasn't there when he passed away. She'd gone home. She was there when they took the tube out and thought, all right, job's done. I can go home now. Wow. I would have sat there. Anyway, so and then they apparently called her when he'd passed away, because it's all the notes in there that they tried several times to call her, and she eventually came in to sign the papers to say, And I thought, oh, man, I wish I knew that. Yeah, true love. I think that's what we call it.
That's right.
And then we had a legal battle on our hands, so it was very difficult dealing with, and there had to be an autopsy as well. So I went through the coroner's court as well, which was also very challenging, reading my dad's autopsy. I had no idea what they do in an autopsy, but it was very, very challenging. So it was a work accident, and the funeral was on the 4th of January, and I kind of, there was a lady that commented, and that was not a friend of Dad's, it was kind of an acquaintance, had commented someone else and said, oh, she didn't really cry or something. And
about who?
Me, when I spoke at my dad's funeral. Yeah, crocodile tears or something. And because I had cried and cried and cried and cried and cried from the minute it happened.
Because, of course, there's a script as to how you should,
of course. I mean, for me, it was trying to remember the funny stuff about my dad and celebrating his life and everything that he stood for, which was the joke. It's always about the joke. And his inappropriate, would he survive in today's society? Not in any way, shape or form. Oh, totally. It's cancelled before he even starts. But that's what everyone loved about him, because he was just that person that would say things and do things that were so loved him. But we did have a legal fight on our hands for then 12 months afterwards, which was also really challenging. But I didn't really care about money or things. It was his things, his stuff.
Yeah.
And
you had the history.
Really, but that was really hard. Like even all his records and stuff, everything was gone. She threw every single thing out. There's not a zip left in his house except for his Caulfield Grammar blazer. And I was able to go into the house a year later. I wasn't allowed in the house because I wasn't his wife. So that was hard, but it was September the following year. But that was a really significant, awful time. The other thing was my mother passed away. So my dad got a call. It was about 2 weeks before Ads and I got married. So it was in the year 2000. My dad got a call from her matron of honour called Doris, and she said that my mother was in hospital. So she had not long to live. So she had a brain tumour, but it was a metastatic from smoking. Like it was metastatic cancer from several years. So she was really unwell.
Yeah.
And she wanted to see me. And I thought, what do I do, Tim? We were about to get married. We were actually, funnily enough, we're about to see Leno and Woodley, which is another awesome team. And I've met them both several times because I can't help myself. But that was really, really hard because I didn't know what to do. What would I say to her? She's on death's door. She was very unwell. What I'm going to say, and if I struck up a great conversation, it was going to end anyway. But that her passing away and then going to a funeral a week.
So did you go and see her, or you chose not to?
No.
Yep.
So her funeral was on the Wednesday and Ads and our wedding was on the Sunday. And that was really hard. And then I met her children from her second marriage, Karen and Andrew, and that was just quite a bizarre experience as well. Yeah. That there's other people that are my relatives and meeting them on the day. And I kind of wasn't ready to, it was all too much for me. It was just so much for me.
So she'd remarried and had more kids.
So she had a boy and a girl. Yeah. So they are 7 and 9 years younger than me.
Yeah.
But then she ended up, that marriage separated, and then so they stayed with their dad, and they moved away with their dad. Yeah, because she just wasn't capable.
There's a pattern
she went
there.
through a lot of clinics, and I think she never really got over leaving me. But I did reconnect with Karen and Andrew many, many, many years later. And one of the strangest things is Karen had said that my mother had moved house so many times, but there was this one bag of things that was just from house to house. She moved like 20-something times.
Wow.
And no one was ever allowed to look in this bag. And it was all of my baby cards that she'd saved, and she carried them around from house to house.
Oh, right.
Yeah, yeah. So, her passing away, and I guess then having no option to go back and say, hey, that was gone. Like that opportunity is gone. I wish that I'd gone back. I wish I'd gone and seen her in hospital. I wish I had.
Why is that?
Because at the time I was still you left. She left me. Why would I go and see her? It was just all horrible and upsetting. I just was really torn with what to do. But I wish that I'd gone now. I really did.
But again, that's not on you. Again, her wanting to see you was her needs.
I know. Yeah, I know. And I did.
You're allowed to make your own decision on that as well.
It was a big week. It was a really big week.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then seeing also at a wedding, I spoke to your mum, the week of our wedding, and he said to her, you're more than welcome to come along. And it was so nice seeing her on that day.
Yeah, she loved that.
Oh, it was so good. But yeah, I think that, significant turning points is definitely my dad's passing. I'd still talk about it, not regularly, but it still hits a nerve that he did what he did, but also that he passed away suddenly, and I didn't have to have a last conversation with him or anything like that. And I miss him. I miss his banter and just things that he knew about, a lot of stuff. He just knew about everything, life experience and knowledge. And what would my dad do about? I'm more talking about, something mechanical like like if it's to do with the chooks or I don't know, just not mechanical. When I say mechanical, just life things. And what would Dad do about that? And it's so far gone now.
Life stuff.
2012, was when he passed away. So, in that time, the girls, Abby hadn't even started school, so she's about to finish high school next year. So the whole chunk of time is so long ago now. Even seeing a video of him now and hearing his voice is like, you kind of forget, but not forget.
Yep.
And marrying Adzi, that was a significant turning point. I had a family.
Yeah.
Because up until then, everything has been bits and pieces. I never had the mum, dad, kids kind of thing. It was I had a dad, but then I had a stepmom, and then there's a half sister, and everything's so bitsy.
Yeah.
And then I was like, finally, I've got my own family, like a husband and two kids, and it's very nuclear, isn't it?
Yeah.
But that's what I was so envious of everyone else and their nuclear families that I had my own one now. So I think that was a significant point for me, and also that my dad and Ads got along, and they got along like a house on fire. Like I think Ads was so welcomed into our family in that way that it was really important for my dad to like who I was marrying.
Yeah.
And I still remember my dad's speech at our wedding, and he said, he's taking my best friend out of the house.
Oh, wow.
Like what he said about it.
Yeah.
And then he also said, if he put an ad in the paper and put an ad in for a son-in-law, he could not find one any better than the one that he's got in Adam. He loved him
High
so
praise.
much. Oh, totally. Yeah.
That's
nothing was ever going to be good enough for Jodes, but apparently Adzi is.
Adzi is. That's really nice. That's really nice. All right. So we're going to move on to a segment called Curious Corner where we ask curious questions about our curious guests. A lot of the words curious in there.
Curious.
Anyway, can you recall a time where you just couldn't stop laughing?
Oh, my God. It usually involves my dad. So many times. I think there was one of the there was something at Shelford, and my sister went to Shelford as well, and there was sitting behind this lady, and of course my dad and I think I've got that attribute as well, as when in a public space, you're talking, but then you don't know how loud your voice is, and so my dad, he's snickering and we're just mucking around. All that's what we did. And this lady in front of me, she says, shh. She was shushing, and Dad goes, through her, And then, will you be quiet? And then she started to get a bit edgy. And my dad's like, oh, go and haunt your husband. And she turned around and she said, well, I don't have one. And he said, well, no bloody wonder. And, Dad and I just could not stop laughing. It just got worse and worse and worse and worse. And we're just killing ourselves laughing. But there's
just like that thing where it was once you start, if the other person's laughing, it spurs you on to more laughter, doesn't it?
And you don't even remember what it was that was the the thing you were laughing about that just got the giggles. But
yeah. So if you could have any superpower for a day, what would it be?
Now, I ask people this a lot.
You do?
I do. So
different being in the other side of the desk, isn't it, Jodes?
Isn't it just the stress? I love eavesdropping conversations. It is my favourite thing. Even
that does not surprise me one iota.
So much so, Ads and I might be having a conversation, maybe in a restaurant or something, and we're looking across the room, and he'll go, Jodes. Oh, yeah. Sorry, I was just trying to listen to what they were talking about. But maybe the invisibility cloak.
Oh, yeah.
Like to go and just listen on people's conversations. I don't know, maybe it's
a bit of a gossip girl.
A bit of a gossip girl. I'm massively a gossip girl. Oh, my gosh. Yeah, the invisibility cloak's pretty cool. I think you get to see and hear a lot that you don't normally do.
Yeah, you certainly
Good
would.
And bad.
Yes, that's right.
I'd like to be in some parliamentary kind of rooms with an invisibility cloak, that's for sure.
Could you imagine? Oh, wow.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Some of the decisions that get made in education blows my mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
What about 5 people you would invite for dinner and why?
There's a lot of people, I guess, that are missing from my life that I would see them in a blink, like Adam's grandparents.
Mm-hmm.
I loved them so much. And my own grandma, like she died when I was 3. I'd love to have tapped into more conversations with her about what life was like for her.
Yeah.
Because I really don't remember a lot about her.
Yeah.
Ricky Gervais. I love Ricky Gervais so much.
He doesn't care what people think, does he?
He doesn't.
That's awesome.
A little bit like my dad. He didn't really. Yeah, but I love Ricky Gervais. Love everything he stands for with animals and comedy and people, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love Ricky Gervais. Yeah, so people, I'd definitely have my dad at the table. He would have everyone laughing so much.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of err between people I would love to meet and people that are missing from my life. So, yeah.
They're interesting choices, you know, because it depends on how you look at things. Like you've been drawn to people that you didn't maybe were, you know, taken too soon or you didn't spend enough time with, but that you already knew.
Yeah.
Whereas some people go for, you know, celebrities or anything. So it's interesting.
I think, I miss them. I miss those people so much. And I never got to know like my grandma really at all. And I know people have got some awesome stories about grandparents and what they've done and traditions and things. And I don't have that, but I did when, you know, when I met Adam's grandparents, and God, they just were so amazing. They passed away 2019 and 2021. But when I met them, almost got to the point where I was like, hey, what about me? Like all of a sudden he was the grandson, favourite grandson, but they treated me like a granddaughter. Like they just love them so, so much, both of them. They were just incredibly amazing people.
That's so nice.
Because I didn't grow up with grandparents.
Yep.
There wasn't any.
Now this next one comes with a caveat. If you could choose one song to play every time you walked into a room, what would you choose and why? And that song cannot be Aha, Take On Me.
Mandy's already grabbed that one. Oh, my God, Tim. There is so many.
You're being a super fan of music. This would actually be a difficult question for you.
Oh, my gosh. And I know so many title and artists, like there were just some random songs and I'll go, sung by that. And I'm like, probably I thought we were 11.
Yeah.
I knew a lot of songs and words. Yeah, I think songs that get me onto the dance floor, it's one of Ad's bugbears, you know, at weddings and things. If I'm not into the song, I'll stay there. And he goes, God, Jodes, you don't have to like every song. But yeah, things that get me onto the dance floor.
Like the classics?
Or
no?
One of my favourite songs is Jellyhead. Oh, no?
Who sings that?
Gosh, now I should know.
Is that a recent song?
Crush? No.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I like a bit of One Direction as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a tough question for you because,
it is.
as I said,
I can't choose.
You listen to so much music.
I can't choose. I do love the I don't know how to pronounce them. The PNAU. I love
Panau.
Yeah, I love their music.
I love Panau.
Yeah, really cool.
Yeah.
Today's music. Yeah, I don't know. Some of the things are okay, but I don't know. I think sometimes they're missing the mark a little bit.
There's a lot of forgettable music.
I think
these days. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I did love Paul Lukaku's "Boom Boom Boom" back in the day.
Oh yeah.
Song.
So you'd play Paul Lukaku's "Boom Boom Boom." Let's go back to my room as a song to play every time you walked into a room.
Yeah, I don't know. There's so many. There's so many.
Oh, that's funny. Now, I know you love to cook.
Oh yes.
What's your signature dish?
Oh my goodness. Oh, Tim, I'll plan a meal backwards and go, all right, desserts first and then the mains.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I love cooking desserts. A signature thing I think a lot of people like is my golden syrup pudding, but also pav, and I make lots of different pies. So lemon meringue pie, butterscotch pie, meat pies. I'll do individual pies or a large pie, curried pies.
Meatloaf?
Meatloaf, always the meatloaf.
It's a meatloaf.
Of course, the meatloaf with a barbecue sauce style marinade on the top. I cook lots of different cuisines, so like Italian, Chinese. I'll cook sushi. I'll cook. I hand make dumplings. I'll make the pastry from scratch and make dumplings.
Wow. Are you follow the recipe to the nth degree,
absolutely.
or are you a little
absolutely
a bit more there?
Oh no, ads is a
you wouldn't deviate one bit.
No, always by the recipe, always. I bake a lot of cakes and cookies, slices. But yeah, golden syrup pudding, I reckon that's a signature. Another one, ossobuco, which is another good one. And I made a recent rhubarb and white chocolate bread and butter pudding, which was that was a good one. But yeah, I love cookbooks.
Do you know that you can clearly tell that you love to cook because the question was a signature dish, and you've given me 20 dishes.
That's true. I can't choose again. I'm also indecisive. Doesn't help.
Another reason why you and Flick get along so well. Sorry, darling.
Do not diss your wife in front of me.
Oh, dearie me, this next one. Tell us about a time where you have accidentally injured yourself.
Oh, my gosh.
Now, I'm very specific about where you have accidentally injured yourself as opposed to pretending that you've injured yourself, please.
Malingering, as my dad would call it. Yes. She's malingering again. Accidentally injuring myself. Gosh, where would I start?
Yeah.
So when I was 3, when I broke my arm and I was in plaster, I'd fallen off a slide. Was it my fault? Probably. I'm not sure. But then that night,
what, you're going to blame the slide?
Oh, I think it was a slide. It was 100% a slide. It must have jumped out on me. And then that night we had friends over, and then we had balloons, and I was jumping for a balloon and landed on the balloon. And of course, it was like a 2. Yeah. So I still had a little plaster cast, which was so tiny. It was a half one.
Yeah.
For many, many years. Bitten by a rat.
Bitten by a rat.
Oh, Tim, there's been so many. I used to do this thing in the shower when I was a kid. I used to soap up the floor of the shower and pretend I was skating, cut my foot open.
Clever. That's really
cut
clever.
My foot open on the tiles.
What could go wrong?
There was another time where, the old school, what would you call it? They were a bar heater, and they were visible. So it was a portable thing. It had like 3 bars of hot iron kind of thing. And I when I was a kid, I got out of the shower and I was going to dry my towel. So I hung the towel over the bar heater. And then all Doug can hear is, Daddy, the towel burn. And then the curtains are on fire because it was near the curtains. Oh, wow. So I still remember there was like a burn mark on the carpet many years later. I love to tell the tale.
Right.
I remember we had these amazing neighbours, Aileen and her 3 girls, and I used to go to their house a lot, and I remember cutting an orange, and I've still got the scar. I was cutting the orange and had my finger in the way. I kept cutting, and I was like, and there's blood all over the orange, and I had this massive flap on my finger, cut my finger. Ankles. I've done a lot of ankles, lots of ankles. Even recent times, I tripped over at work. Maybe was it 3 years ago? I was such a doozy. My arm swelled up straight away, and the bruise is probably the size of
really
like a little bread and butter plate. It was really bad, and then I ended up having surgery on my shoulder from it. That was a doozy. I couldn't put my arm behind my back; it was so bad. So I had got a frozen shoulder from it.
Okay, so
the trauma from hitting.
How did you fall over? We were walking up. Don't tell me you were just walking on a flat surface. I tripped
over and fell into a table. I was scooting across the room, tripped over and fell into the table. I was so close it wasn't my face.
Oh.
But my arm hit the table, and I actually thought I busted both knees because I landed on my knees, and it was my arm that was the real issue. I fell off the side. Well, it wasn't a cliff, but Ads and I went skiing, and he reckoned that we were supposed to go one way, and I said, no, I reckon we go that way. No, we go this way. Anyway, he was in front of me a bit, and I was on a flat bit of snow, and there was a little rock of snow, and my ski hit that, and I went down the side of this mountain, all the way down. I'm screaming all the way down, trying to hold on, and then stopped eventually. I couldn't see anyone. I couldn't do it. I was just yelling out, help! Wow. And then this head pops over and it's like, oh, would you like me to help you? And he goes, I'm an off-duty ski instructor. Oh, thank God.
Oh, wow.
So then, because I tried to climb back up the mountain, I kept falling down further.
Yeah.
And he said you have to kick the snow in really hard until you get a good foot, and then eventually.
Like you're mountain climbing or something.
Oh, my gosh. It was so stressful. And then when I couldn't find Ads anywhere, he thought I'd gone off the other way, so he was so cross. And I was so happy to see him.
The diverging emotions.
He was like, she's going the other way. Yeah, absolutely. But I didn't injure myself. I don't know. I remember one Christmas day, I was in a big rush trying to wash up after Christmas, and I had all the big knives in the sink, and I was rushing, and the next minute,
yeah,
geez.
That's easy to do.
Yeah, ankles, arms, so many.
It's funny, with all these injuries, you would think that you were some sort of professional sports person.
I think I am. I've had so many near misses too. Somewhere I think, ooh, that was a close one. So, I mean, the worst one I did about 2 weeks ago when I was on a ladder and I was hedging, and I had the hedge trimmer in my hands, and of course wasn't holding onto the ladder, and cutting off the top of a camellia, and then a little slip to the side, and I fell onto the concrete path on top of the ladder, and the hedge trimmer fell on top of me.
Oh,
so that's still, I can't feel it. So I have a bruise on my back, and I thought I'd die. I thought I'd broken my back. No one was home.
How had you not banned yourself from climbing up ladders?
And Ads goes, that's it. You can't be on a ladder when no one's home. I said, that's the only incident I've had with a ladder. He goes, what about at work? And I said, no, the ladder fell on me. That was different. That wasn't my fault. I'd leant this ladder up against all this big shelving. Yeah, that looks pretty good. I'd walked away and the ladder ladder knocked me on my back. Lucky not on my head. It would have been knocked out.
Oh.
That hurt. That came up straight away too on my arm.
Oh, goodness.
That was a doozy. I don't know.
Oh, dear.
So many.
What about if you could do things differently, what career would you choose? Or does this pivot to what you're still thinking about?
When I do things differently, I reckon a TV production. I reckon. I'm just so obsessed with the production side of TV. I don't know what I would do. It's not anything in particular. The cameraman or the camera person, the floor manager, nothing in particular. I just love that environment of the production. And I guess with producing the podcast as well and learning about new software systems and learning how everything works. I do love tech things. Like I do a lot of IT support at work. So I've run trainings for all our staff that, it's not their area of expertise. So when I've been able to explain something to someone, I'm not an IT person, but I have knowledge in IT, but I also know how to deal with people. So then they actually are able to know how to do something when I explain it to them instead of it all being gobbledygook. So I do love tech and I love learning new systems, and I can catch on to new systems really quickly and make them work for me. Then I can teach other people, which I never thought that was ever a thing.
Yeah. And I think just going back the love of TV production, I mean, you did touch on it, but, starting this podcast and doing this podcast and, the equipment that's involved in getting that up and running. I guess that's dipping your toe into that.
Yeah, absolutely.
A bit as well.
And I think it was when I came up with the idea, it was after we'd seen Will Anderson, and I thought I'd love to be able to have something of my dad's day, have his voice and have him talking about his life and have that forever.
Yep.
Because Will Anderson was talking about his dad and his 80th birthday. And how would I do that? How would I talk to people? Because I love talking to people. I love people's stories. Like, people tell me things that they often say, I've never told anyone this.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. And I feel really blessed that people feel comfortable enough to share their inner thoughts with me.
Yep.
And being able to do that for their families. And then I started, what sort of equipment do you need? It's more than just an iPhone or and then I thought, this is big, this is all too hard. And then lo and behold, then for Mother's Day I got 2 broadcast microphones that I'd been looking at, and I thought, oh no,
where you go
start now.
Yeah, that's right.
And now I think there's 15 episodes. It's like, what?
Yeah.
And
bit of a pinch me moment.
It's such a bizarre thing because there's listeners all over the world, and I'll say, hey, do you know anyone in Norway? No. Do you know anyone in Ukraine? No. How are these people picking this up? It's so weird.
And I can tell that you're fully into the stats, because after the episode that I was on, season 1, episode 2, you were asking me, do you know anyone in New Zealand? Do you know anyone? Yep, I know who it was in New Zealand.
It just blew my mind, and that's not something I had in my head when making it, because I've got all the files that I can give to people, like it's all stored like on my computer.
Yeah.
But it's not something I kind of thought that it would go so far. I was pretty much thinking about that person and that person's people you listen to.
Yep.
Anyone else, whatever, I'm not fussed.
Yeah.
But it's more, and I enjoy doing it so much because I enjoy talking to the person, and then I listen to that whole episode in the edit part, that I get to listen to it again, and then I listen to it as the listener in my car, and I kill myself laughing at the person and their stories, just like it's the first time I've ever heard it. So I really enjoy it. Which is, it is quite bizarre. It is really quite bizarre. But I just love talking to people about their stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, Hall Pass.
Oh my gosh. Oh, get ready. There's a list and a half. If something shall happen to.
Why have you just brought out a big notebook?
Hang on. Now let's bring out file A. I go between a few different people, but there's certain people who go, yeah. Ryan Gosling. And I go through Paul Walker. Oh, if he was alive today, Paul Walker.
Yeah.
Well, he probably disappeared because Jodie down in Melbourne. She's a bit full on.
Took fangirl to the extreme.
Oh my gosh, Ryan Gosling, Jason Momoa. Oh my God.
Oh yes.
Yeah. And then there was the Vin Diesel kind of realm as well. And then there's people that I just really like as people. Back in the day, and not a hall pass thing, but I still love Ruth McManus.
Oh yes.
So much so that when on that last night where he announced he was finishing his show and he announced it on the show, I got calls from people. Are you okay?
Oh really?
What? And I actually watched his show. I couldn't miss his show, and I was in labour with Abby and watching his show because that was the night I went into labour. And then I was just laughing in between contractions at Rovey, and I have always loved Rove. Loved his show, loved his personality, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, you always realise that maybe these people are just horrific in real life, but I have no doubt. I have no doubt that Rove's pretty awesome.
You don't want to think that, though, do you?
I think he's a pretty awesome person.
Yeah.
When he did his show in LA and he moved off to the America thing, and I think coming back, him gaining in momentum here has been a little bit hard. But he's had his roving enterprises, producing the project and and other shows. But oh my gosh, I've really digressed on the whole pass there. Ryan Gosling. I like everything about Ryan Gosling. Adam Stevens. Have you heard of him? No.
Adam Stevens. Yeah.
No.
Cool dude.
Yeah, so good. Big bog long list. Yes.
Very good. All right, now we come to the final part, legacy and reflections. What are you most proud of in your life?
I think my resilience, and sometimes when I tell people things about my life, they're like, oh, but you seem so normal. Is normal the word? I think proud of those things. I haven't let them beat me, growing up within a single parent family, back then, and then losing my dad, and things could have gone really, really pear-shaped. And I think my dad's strength as well in maintaining a normal life with me as much as possible. Yeah. And, one of the, I guess, the funniest things is he's not a religious person in any way, shape or form. Yeah. But when I was a kid, he did go to church. He did take me to church because he thought maybe that was the right thing to do, because that's what people did back then. Yeah. And we still giggle about this. He said the minute he said, no, I think we won't do the church anymore, is when the priest got everyone to kiss his ring.
Oh, goodness.
Which we used to laugh about that. So Dad went, I think we're out of here. So take with it what you will. But
that is such a Carl comment. Such a Carl comment.
Isn't it? Oh, he was, oh my gosh. But yeah, I think he tried to give me, a well-rounded life as much as he could, on his own.
Yep.
I did love those times of sitting on the floor with no couch, eating a pie, and then we go get the couch.
Waiting for the new furniture to come in.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I think the resilience that I think I've inherited from my dad, and I'm not proud of the fact that I can't ask for help. I'm really bad at asking for help and getting people to do things for me. I'm terrible at that. Yeah. I reckon I'm getting a little bit better, even so much so, do you want a cup of tea? And I'll do it. Yeah, I'm really bad at asking people to do things for me, but I love doing things for other people.
Yeah.
All the time. So, I think just, proud of my resilience, proud of my girls, my marriage, and my career that where I've got to in my career, and that I love what I do, that I don't think many adults could say they love their job. I love my job so much. It gives me so much joy. It's not work to me. It's pure enjoyment. It's and I get paid for it.
Yeah. Well, I think you've got a lot to be proud of, Jodes, to be perfectly honest. Any regrets?
Oh, I regret not seeing my mum in hospital. Well, some of the things aren't my fault. I regret not, for whatever reason, the universe or whatever, that our whole families weren't connected the whole way through.
Yeah.
That we had access to so many cousins. You know, there was, between you guys, there was and Peter and Andrew, there's 4 cousins there, and we could have had those Christmases that other people have with lots of people.
Yeah.
That's not necessarily, it's a regret that I would have loved that to be a little bit different, that that we could all still be in contact, and would things have been different for people? I don't know.
I guess there's a couple of different types of regrets, isn't there? There's regrets where you don't have any say in the outcome, like the families and catching up, and then there's regrets of something that you did that you regret.
Yeah, I think that's
or didn't do that you regret.
Yeah, I regret not seeing my mum in hospital. I'd go back, and I wish that I hadn't been so pig-headed about, she left, but I wish I hadn't. But I guess I was a teenager at the time, and life was very difficult as a teenager because
I think you've been pretty hard on yourself.
My dad's marriage with Myrna and stuff. It was really hard. There was lots of arguing, fighting, broken windows, just some I guess violence in that space, and I hadn't come from that. My dad, as much as he had a short fuse, he was a really awesome person to be around. He was so entertaining. He was the best. He got frustrated from a perspective that I was very slow. I did everything so slowly, and he wanted me to speed up. He was always telling me to hurry up.
Yeah.
He used to say to me, "Jodes, you're so laid back, you're nearly unconscious." Oh, okay. Because I just wasn't fussed. I was really so easygoing, just.
Yeah. Look, I think you're being a little bit harsh on yourself about your mum, because what would you say?
I know. Exactly, Tim. Exactly.
There's no relationship there.
Yeah, that's right. Why did you leave? Was she going to be aware of what she was saying? She was nearly near the end. But I kudos to my dad, is he always asked me on a regular basis, like, do you think about your mum? Do you want to see her, mate? Do you want to see her? No.
Yeah.
Just all the time.
Yeah.
Where if he had any part in any of whatever it was, why she left or anything like that, then that would be a closed book. It wouldn't be talked about. It wouldn't be brought up.
Yeah. Yeah.
I knew where her house was. I've driven past her house. He showed me where her house was. If I ever wanted to go in there, go and see her. No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
I just never did.
Yeah.
But
he always gave you the choice.
Yeah. Yeah. I think if there was any malice or in anything that he did, it would have been obvious.
Yeah.
Because he would always say to me, he goes, he would always talk about she wasn't a bad person, or what she was really good at, and that she was quite a relaxed person as well.
Yeah.
I have her thumbs.
Yeah.
That's a talking point for some people, like at school, in primary school. What happened to your thumb? Nothing. The other one's the same. So they told me I had hammer thumbs. You know, you've got thumbs like a hammer.
God.
Yeah. So my thumbs are always a talking point. The only person I know, I've met a handful of people that have the same thumbs as me. Megan Fox has my thumbs. So if you ever look for,
there you go.
I mean, we're just
Could do
like
worse.
twins. I think her choices in over the years, but yeah, her. If you zoom in on photos, you'll see that they're my thumbs.
All right.
And there's a friend of a friend. Often people will say, "I've got a friend with people with thumbs like that." So yeah, I don't know. They look normal to me. Until I see other people's thumbs, I go, yeah, they do look a bit weird. Anyway, it's not a disability. They're actually a strength.
Yeah,
they're very
absolutely.
good massaging thumbs.
Superpower.
They've got a good surface area.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. So when you look back on your life, what do you hope to be remembered for?
Oh. That I care for the people around me. That I looked after people, that I gave my all no matter what it is. And my cooking, you know, and things that I've made for people and the way I've made them feel, you know, at their lowest point. Or, yeah, I think that I've cared for people and for children and families, and that's what I'm passionate about, because it's all people. Yeah, and maybe that I'd just walk up to any celebrity and think that they're my best friend.
That's pretty cool. That is pretty cool, I've got to tell you.
Everyone else goes into shock and goes, oh, God, here she goes, here she goes, here she goes. Oh, well.
So the simile is that you're like that with like celebrity types.
Uh-huh.
You know, is she going to do it? Is she going to do it? And your dad was like that with jokes. Yes. He's not going to go there. He's gone there.
Yeah, off he goes. What a great combo. What a great combo. Yeah. Yeah. It's it's hard when you're like, you know, it's been some time since he'd passed away, but I always use a lot of his quotes and a lot of his sayings a lot because I heard them all the time. And I guess I only had one person saying things and doing things. So that's where all of the source of all my knowledge is from him. He was a really intelligent person. In everything that he did, he was always, I don't know, when in jobs and things, he was always the smartest person in the room and knew so much about so many things. But so charismatic, so charismatic.
Yeah.
And the best. But I think, that I cared for people. Yeah.
That's nice. That's nice. Well, Jodes, it has been an absolute pleasure and honour to guest host on your podcast, of which you have done an extraordinary job. I have to say I'm blown away by, you know, the production values, you know, your choice of guests that you've had on. It's been amazing. So to have you in the hot seat, I've actually quite enjoyed that. Seeing you squirm a couple of occasions, turning up deliberately 15 minutes early. That was a good,
oh my gosh,
nice little power move of mine. But thank you for being a guest.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much to Tim for doing an incredible job as guest host for the past 2 episodes. It's been so nice sharing my story with you all. But that does bring us to the end of season 2. Thank you to all my listeners and to those who have been listening since the beginning. I'm really looking forward to season 3 and lots more stories being told and capturing people's lives. Tune in to our next episode where we get to hear more lives worth telling. Don't forget to check out and follow us on your socials. And if you love what you hear, please rate and review us on your favourite podcast app. Of course, if you have any questions, you can get in touch with us through the Facebook page or Instagram. If you or a friend or a family member would like to come on the show, please don't hesitate to get in contact with us. And if you want to grab yourself some merch, jump onto Redbubble to check out our products. Thanks for listening to Lives Worth Telling. See you next time.